On November 8, 2010, a brutal crime shook the quiet town of Markham, Ontario. A family's life was torn apart, leaving one daughter behind to explain what happened. But as investigators dug deeper, they discovered that not everything was as it seemed. This is the tragic story of Jennifer Pan, a young woman whose web of lies ultimately led to murder. It was just after 10 p.m. when 24-year-old Jennifer Pan heard unfamiliar voices downstairs. As she listened, her mother's terrified cries echoed through the house. Frozen in her room, she did nothing. At least, that's what she told police.
Now I want you to sort of take yourself back to earlier on today, yesterday, meaning the 8th of November, and tell me about your day. Okay, start at any point in time, wherever you feel comfortable, and then we're gonna move forward. Okay.
Yesterday, probably around 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30. My mother, she woke me up and she told me that she was going to visit my grandfather, who was ill, and that she was going to go over pick up my aunt to go. Once we stepped out of the house, there were a few police officers barricading the driveway, and so she called me down, and when I came down, the officers just said that there was like a gas leak in the area, and they were just as precaution evacuating. And before we could walk over to a safer place, they said that the evacuation had been moved to somewhere else, that it was safe to go back home. With that, my mom decided for me to stay home, and because I have some piano history stuff that I'm working on. So I was doing that on the computer, played a little piano. I forget what time my mom came home, probably around like 3:30. My father came home later than usual. He said that he had forgot to lock a toolbox and had to turn back, but I'm not exactly sure. He just was home later than usual.
Okay.
Once he came home, he phoned up my uncle and asked him to go to buy USB pen, I think, just to go shopping with him because my uncle doesn't drive. They left, so my mom had prepared dinner because she was heading to go dancing that night, line dancing. She does it every Monday, and so her and I sat down for dinner first. And then after my father came home, he did that, and then a friend of mine came over. We do TV night every so often. So my dad, I guess, went up on the computer as he always does, and I was downstairs with my friend watching movies, and my mom was out dancing. My friend left around 9, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then I upstairs in my room, called it a night with the TV on, talking on the phone with a friend of mine. And then shortly after, my mom came home. I believe that was around 9:30 or so. She was rummaging downstairs. I didn't think anything of it. And then suddenly I just heard my mom calling for my dad to come down. And that's when I lowered the volume on my TV, and I could hear the voices weren't any voices I was very familiar with. And so I was scared and I couldn't move. I just sat in my room for a while. And then I thought I heard them all leave the top floor, and I peered out of my bedroom door. And a guy was there, and he came at me and had string in his hands and tied my arms back and said, "I have a gun behind your back. Do what I say. If you do what I say, then no one will get hurt. Where is the money? Show me where your money is." I have still a bit of money put aside from when I was waitressing, cash. So I showed him where it was, and he took it and put it in his pocket, I think. And then that's where they pushed me to my parents' room and asked me where the money was there, and I didn't really know. So they kind of one was right beside me, blocking my way to the door. while the other ones turned over the bed to find some more cash in my mom's bedside table. In which then they dragged me down the stairs and made me kneel at the bottom, telling me to face down on the floor while the other guy had a gun behind my head, and asked my mom where her purse was. My mom kept trying to get up, and they kept telling her, sit down, and so I didn't want her to get hurt, so I told her, Mom, sit down. They were trying to find her wallet, but her English isn't good, so she kept saying purse. They kept pushing her down onto the chair.
Okay. Take your time. Take your time. All this is very important, so take your time.
In her tearful interview with officers, Jennifer described how she heard the intruders' demands. They ordered her to show them where the money was kept, then tied her to the banister with a shoelace. She told police she waited until the men had left before calling 911. But there was one problem. Jennifer's father, Han, had survived the attack, despite being shot twice, including once in the face. He stumbled out of the house, bleeding and screaming for help. Detective Bill Cordes stated, "We took Jennifer's statements at face value, but something didn't add up. How could she have made the 911 call with her hands tied behind her back?" As police dug deeper, they began uncovering a history of deception. Jennifer had always been a high achiever in her father's eyes, straight A's, a promising future. But as she entered adulthood, her grades slipped. Rather than admit she was struggling, Jennifer began lying to her family. She forged report cards and told her parents that she was excelling in school. They had no idea that her high school graduation was a lie. Jennifer never even attended university, but she pretended to, creating fake documents to keep up the illusion. Jennifer's father, Han, had high expectations for his daughter. He wanted her to become a pharmacist, a stable career that would help the family climb the social ladder. But Jennifer had different dreams. She wanted to teach music, and she had secretly been seeing her boyfriend, Daniel Wong, a small-time marijuana dealer, against her parents' wishes. As Jennifer's lies unraveled, her father took control. He banned her from seeing Daniel, revoked her phone, and began to track her movements. Jennifer's life had become a prison, and it was only a matter of time before things escalated. Desperate to break free from her father's grip, Jennifer made a chilling decision. She reached out to Daniel's acquaintance, a man named Lenford Crawford, also known as Homeboy, with a plan to have her parents killed. Jennifer didn't want to kill them herself. She just needed them out of the way. Using texts and phone calls, Jennifer arranged for the murder to take place. The price? $8,000, with the promise that she'd inherit half of her parents' estate. But things didn't go as planned. The investigation quickly revealed the truth. Phone records showed that Jennifer had been in constant contact with Homeboy and his associates right up to the moment of the attack. Detectives uncovered over 700,000 phone records and texts, piecing together the deadly conspiracy. Jennifer had lied to police about the details of the crime. Her hands hadn't been tied when the attackers arrived. She had been making calls. And when her father woke from his coma, he revealed something that would change everything. He described how Jennifer had appeared to be having a friendly conversation with one of the men who attacked them.
Look at me, Jen. Let's be honest with each other. I've been nothing but honest with you here today, and I hope you can do the same with me. I'm here to listen. Jen? It's not worth it anymore. It's hurting you. I need to know the details. I can't even say. But I can tell you one thing is that we already know, so you can't change that. I know you did. But it got too far ahead of you, right? You didn't think this far ahead, did you? But once they started, once they came in, you couldn't stop it, could you? Could you? Jen? I know. Why didn't they stop for you?
I don't know who they were.
But you were part of the planning, right? You have to tell me that part, and then we're going to work through it together. You know what I'm saying? You didn't want this, you wanted to stop it. You have to prove that to me now. Because at the end of the day, we have to stop this from happening to someone else. Right?
What happened to me?
Jen, we're going to have to deal with it one step at a time, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I need to know what you did. And then you and I are going to work through this together. Because the most important part of this whole thing is that we do the right thing for your mom. Right? I am her voice right now. I'm working for your mom. That's my job.
After months of investigation, Jennifer was arrested. In March 2014, she stood trial alongside Daniel, Homeboy, and 2 other accomplices. Jennifer's defense was shocking. She claimed that she had been suicidal and wanted to be killed, but things went horribly wrong, leading to her parents' deaths. But the jury wasn't convinced. They found Jennifer guilty of first-degree murder, and she was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole for 25 years. Her father, devastated, wrote a statement for the court. "When I lost my wife, I lost my daughter at the same time. I don't feel like I have a family anymore. Jennifer may have never pulled the trigger, but her lies were just as deadly. She's currently serving a life sentence, and though she maintains her innocence, her family's grief is undeniable." Jennifer's brother, Felix, who had been oblivious to her deception, has distanced himself from her. Jennifer will not be able to contact her family until she's released in her mid-50s. What started as a lie to avoid disappointing her parents ended in a deadly betrayal. Jennifer Pan's story is a chilling reminder of how lies can snowball and destroy lives. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime stories.